I'm joined today by Joe Morris, and Joe is here to talk about an event that's coming up at Winona State and also to tell a little bit about a group here in Winona that is working to prevent domestic violence. And Joe, thanks for taking some time to talk today.
Well, thanks for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.
The group is called Beyond Tough Guys,
Yeah.
and the group has been around for a little while now, but can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the group and what you hope to accomplish?
Well, 9 years ago, some people in Winona here thought that the problem of sexual and domestic violence was still the same as it always had been, and the Women's Resource Center has been operating in Winona County, providing services to survivors of domestic and sexual assault for 25 years back then, and with no appreciable decrease in the number of incidents. And so people got together and said, look, we've got to think of a way to try to prevent this crime, to really decrease the numbers. And so Beyond Tough Guys, spelled G-U-I-S-E, was launched, and our primary role is to look at the behavior of men and how men in Winona County can change so that we can influence the norms and the attitudes and the behavior of other men in the county. Because, 9 out of 10 offenders, sexual and violent offenders, are men. They violent to women, to children, and to other men. And so if we're going to change that, we have to really start thinking about how boys are raised, how we teach our boys to be men. And that really means that the men of the community need to step up and speak and talk about what a real man is, and what is manhood about, what is masculinity about. It's not about violence, it's not about aggression only. It's not just about dominating women. It's being respectful, responsible, cooperative, nonviolent in relationships. And so that's the message we've been putting out for the last 9 years. And this most recent year, we've stepped up the action a lot with a grant that we received.
Tell us a little bit about that grant. Is it something that that's going to help put on more programs like the one we're going to talk about?
Yeah. Well, the Minnesota Department of Public Safety decided that they were going to have 2 counties in Minnesota that they were going to pilot a primary prevention project for sexual violence. And so they chose Winona County and Beltrami County, I think, Bemidji. And so this program we're putting on Monday is part of a broad countywide effort. There's also the grant also supports the development of a curriculum for birth to grade 3 schools, for parents, for the kids, for teachers, for daycare providers, so that those people are learning about how to use curriculums to help boys be more respectful, responsible, and cooperative. In addition, there's another project that we're working on that was supported by this grant to develop a model policy for businesses and organizations to function in a way that will prevent sexual and domestic violence, and what they can do within their businesses, with coworkers, with the human resource people. I mean, the folks working on it are people from the Winona Health, from Winona Agency, Insurance Agency, Winona County, and I think there's one other, the manufacturer of auto parts here, TRW. So the personnel, human resources people in those organizations are coming together to really create a model policy for prevention. And so this project we're working on, Beyond Tough Guys is working on, in cooperation with the Women's Resource Center, is to help change the messages that are out in the community about men's violence toward women and children. And how can we make it so that we're not blaming women, we're not blaming victims? How can we understand how we're going to talk to our boys, how we're going to talk to other people in the community? Because really, the whole message that Beyond Tough Guys is about is, how can men step up and change the attitudes and the tones? How can, women have been working on this problem in this community, 35 years. And we need men to step up, because we firmly believe that unless men step up and are vocal and say this is something we have to address, it's not going to be prevented.
When Beyond Tough Guys first came about, I was really impressed there. Excited is not the word, but I had done an interview years ago, and had asked what programs are available for men when it comes to domestic violence, and basically the program was either jail time or some fines or something, and there really wasn't that educational component to be able to reach men and say, hey, touch them on a different level, and kind of help to model a different type of behavior. So kudos to you guys for getting this going.
Well, you know, what you said here, we heard that throughout the community, that we need to have a positive approach to this. Like, how can we improve masculinity? Not always saying, well, men are doing things bad, men are doing this wrong in a relationship, but what do we want men to be like that really will make a change? And so it's a real positive approach. You know, we're looking to, you know, talk about masculinity in a real positive way. And one of the ways to do that is say strength is not for hurting. My strength is not for hurting. My strength is to change the behavior and the attitudes of men who are hurting. Because really, you know, there's not, you know, probably a third of men are violent and abusive. I mean, that's a huge number. But that means, you know, 2/3 of, you know, men out there, I call them well-meaning men, we've been silent. And that's the problem. We need to be more vocal. We need to be more loud and say, you know, we can change this. We're going to change this. We don't want this to be continuing on in our community like it has been.
Now there is an event that's coming up at Winona State called, it's a world premiere of a movie, or a Winona premiere of a movie about domestic violence. And can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, the film is called With Impunity, Men and Gender Violence, and it was produced in St. Paul. By two people, Ellen Pence and Michael Paymar. And Michael Paymar, one of the developers of the film, is going to be here. He's taking this film, it's about domestic and sexual violence, about men violence, and kind of traces the history of it, but also one man in the film from how he was violent after, you know, almost getting himself killed in a police action when he was assaulting his wife, and carrying him through to, you know, his jail time and his change process, so that by the end of the film, shows him talking to other men about how they can end their violence. And so it's a real hopeful and positive story throughout, but it also then talks about where does this violence come from in men? I mean, and if we have to understand where it comes from before we know how to, you know, get rid of it. And so it ends talking about a lot of ways that, you know, men can get involved. And we're going to have local people here in Winona talking about what they've done. We've got people in the Mending Project that are actually helping, you know, women who are survivors of sexual and domestic violence, providing them low-cost or no-cost goods and services. Some of those men are going to be there in their businesses and we're going to talk about what they're doing and what other men can do, you know, from here on out. This is kind of a launching of an effort to break the silence, you know, about men's violence.
The event is next week, Monday, correct?
Yeah, Monday on the 28th at 6:30 p.m.
All right, and no cost for the event, free?
Oh no, it's free and open to the public. We're welcoming anybody. We'd really like to see men come. Of course, we'd love to have women come too, but we'd like to have men come and learn how they can become involved. See the film, have a discussion. There's going to be a dialogue about it. Michael Paymar, he's a state legislator actually from St. Paul, created the film. He'll be there. He's shown this film a number of places around Minnesota already, Duluth and Mankato. It's gotten really positive reviews in the Minneapolis Star Tribune and other places, won an award already. So it's a documentary, you know, an hour long, and there'll be a dialogue after that, and then we'll talk about what, you know, men in Winona County can do.
And you had mentioned something, the Mending Project. Explain that a little bit more.
Well, the Mending Project, we started that late last year. It's a project where male-oriented businesses, or any business for that matter, steps up and says, we're going to provide X number of hours of service, X number of goods to women survivors or any survivor of sexual and domestic violence. And so a survivor goes to the Women's Resource Center, gets a certificate of hope, and, you know, maybe she needs a set of tires, maybe she needs somebody to come in and do handyman work around her house, fix a door, fix a door, a lock or a window. We've got somebody, an optometrist, Lane Robeson, who's going to do free eye care. We've got somebody else, Intact did some printing of brochures for us, you know. And so people have been really generous and stepping up and saying, I'm going to actually take some action. I'm going to put my time and my business on the line. And then they get a little plaque that says they're participating in this, and it's displayed in their business to show that they are actually stepping forward yeah, they say Tires Plus, they donate a set of tires, and you know, businesses around the town. We're really looking for more businesses, particularly related to transportation, because that's a big need. The Women's Resource Center says that's a really big need, you know, repairing cars, getting parts for cars, you know, gas, whatever, those kinds of things. That's a big need that women have that goes lacking for women here.
How can a business be a part of that?
Well, they can call the Women's Resource Center. It's 452-4440. Adric Curtis is working on that right now. He works over at the Women's Resource Center. He's new there, young man. He's really sharp, and I think he could help somebody walk through that and get involved, or they could call me. You know, I could help them also. You know, 452-8232. They can give me a call.
All right, Joe. Thank you, and again, the date and the time of the event at Winona.
Well, it's on Monday the 28th at 6:30. It's in Crisco Commons at Winona State, and it's a big campus, so some people aren't sure like where to go. Just go 10th and Huff Street, you know, the main campus there. You'll see Crisco Commons, the Student Center. Just go downstairs, and it'll be right on the left, on the bottom of the stairs in Crisco Commons, right on Huff Street.
All right, Joe, thanks for taking some time.
Thanks for having me.